Will LeBron James win another NBA title? Let's look at the terrifying truth. LeBron James has an air of inevitability about him that the NBA hasn't seen since Michael Jordan. It's why, despite being the number 7 seed and having both of their superstars injured, the Los Angeles Lakers were the betting favorites in the Western Conference heading into the playoffs. It's why LeBron's Game 1 loss to the Phoenix Suns wasn't cause for alarm. He frequently loses Game 1 and still advances to the playoffs. It's why, despite a clearly hampered Anthony Davis, his LA Lakers were a 2-point favorite heading into a must-win Game 6. Having LeBron James on your team has felt like a guaranteed trip to the NBA Finals for the past 10 years. With the exception of his first season in Los Angeles, when a groin injury ended his season early and the Lakers missed the playoffs, James had appeared in the finals every year since 2010. Part of that can be attributed to playing in the weaker Eastern Conference for the majority of his career, but a larger part of it can be attributed to the fact that we're talking about LeBron James. As much as anything else, winning on the biggest stages has defined his career. Because LeBron has dominated the league for the past 18 years, it's easy to think of him as something more than mortal, but that isn't the case. Father Time, as the saying goes, is unbeatable. The twilight of LeBron's NBA career has finally come into focus, with his age 36 season now in the rearview mirror. On Thursday night, the Phoenix Suns eliminated the Lakers from the playoffs, ending James's postseason run in the first round for the first time in his career. This shouldn't come as a surprise. Phoenix was the better team throughout the season. James and Davis were both injured, and there had been warning signs for the past 6 months that this Lakers team wasn't as good as the one that won the title on the bubble. It's only surprising because the Lakers have LeBron, and LeBron has a history of reaching the NBA Finals even when his team has a bad season. This season, James had plenty of justifications. He was a top 3 MVP candidate until he sprained his ankle in March, describing it as, quote, "one of the worst injuries of my career." James tweaked his ankle again just before the postseason after 6 weeks of rehab. He never fully recovered his explosiveness going to the basket, instead of relying on a jump shot against Phoenix, which has always been his weak spot. Davis's injury situation was even worse. Due to a calf strain, AD was limited to only 36 games during the regular season, and then suffered multiple leg injuries in the series against the Suns, which forced him to miss the second half of Game 4, sideline him for all of Game 5, and limited him to only 5 minutes in Game 6. The rest of the Lakers had their own flaws. The offense was ranked 24th in the league in terms of efficiency, trailing only the Chicago Bulls and Tom Thibodeau's New York Knicks. The Lakers downgraded the wing by replacing Danny Green with Wes Matthews, who still brought gravity as a shooter even when he was struggling. It's difficult to argue that Dennis Schroeder was an improvement over playoff Rondo's dark magic. The centers, who went from Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee to Andre Drummond and Marc Gasol, were probably even worse. Montrezl Harrell, their biggest free agent signing, never fit into the lineup and only made the starting lineup against Phoenix. At the trade deadline, the Lakers had the opportunity to acquire Kyle Lowry, but they reportedly refused to part with Talon Horton-Tucker. That's an intriguing young prospect, but it's fair to wonder if Lowry could have swung the series against the Suns in the Lakers' favor. Of course, the Lakers have the shortest offseason in NBA history, with only 72 days separating their championship-clinching Game 6 victory over the Miami Heat in the playoffs and the start of the next season. The injury problems James and Davis had throughout the season can be traced back to the short summer, or in this case, short fall. Before the ankle injury, James deserves credit for foregoing load management and playing in every game this season, but in hindsight, he might have been better off taking it easy and saving himself for the playoffs. All of this obscures another undeniable fact. James isn't as good as he once was. LeBron's peak was so high that he could drop off significantly and still be the league's best player. It's unrealistic to expect James to carry a team through the entire regular season and playoffs at this point in his career. LeBron can only be the best player in the world for short periods of time, such as the playoffs at this point. He didn't play it like in his postseason run, and he was hampered by an ankle injury and the circumstances of his team. LeBron needs more help if he wants to win another championship with the Lakers before he retires. Even if it means sacrificing some defense, the Lakers need more offensive punch. The Lakers started the season 21-6 before the injury struck. With James approaching his 37th season and Davis having a long history of injuries, it's no longer realistic to expect them both to be fully healthy for the 100-plus game grind it takes to win a championship. Well guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Sport Truffle, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a video. Thanks for watching.